Time is money. So money should also equal time. Sadly, it's not as easy as that. Because how valuable is each individual moment of your life, and should there even be a price for it? Is there more value to you grinding League of Legends than doing Special K? How much money would you spend to spend time with your family if you had to pay for it? And is working a minimal wage job 40 hours a week worth it to be able to buy Mountain Dew and Doritos? Has inflation made our time less valuable? I'll answer all those questions as quick as I can because every minute you spend watching this video could be used to get money, become an addict, or look at Fortnite feet. There are infinite uses for time, yet our time is extremely limited. Most of the time, we spend it on doing things that you would later call absolutely useless. Laying in bed all day watching TikToks isn't going to change anything, except destroy your dopamine system. That raises the question, am I using my time right? Well, only you can tell. Let's take that example of League of Legends versus Special K. One of them destroys your brain, and the other does the same. So should we all just give in to hedonism to maximize our pleasure in this life? I don't think so, because even League of Legends has some value to it, while LARPing as a Breaking Bad addict really doesn't have any. League of Legends, or any competitive game for that matter, could lead to a career in esports, streaming, or being a YouTuber. So putting in thousands of hours into League and Valorant might be good for you, but most people don't make it big in the entertainment industry, so keep your real job, until you can pay the bills with Timo. But let's pause there real quick. What about the economic aspect of your gaming? If you're not monetizing your playtime, are you just wasting all of your time? When did we start to monetize time? Well, since forever pretty much. It is comparable to a limited resource due to our finite lifespans, and there is no way to unspend time. It is so valuable that it has been ingrained in the English language. Notice how I kept saying to spend time. It's because from the perspective of the English language, time is something that can be spent, saved, or wasted. Even on a linguistic level, it's a resource, even though its very existence is disputed. It feels different for everyone, and it can even be changed if you're going fast enough, through a thing called time dilation. So, if everyone perceives it differently, and it can even be directly impacted by traveling at the speed of light, why do we put such an emphasis on time? I mean, space is real, and even if you're going at light speed, the space around you doesn't change. You can't be at two positions at once. Yet, through time dilation, an astronaut can experience 7 years in an hour without aging? Time sounds incredibly fake to me. But to answer the question as to why we put such an emphasis on time, it's capitalism and industrialization. Ever since we industrialized, we also invented mechanical clocks that were used to objectively measure time and when you could leave the factory. Before industrialization, people would work from sunrise to sundown. And because the sun cycles through different seasons, some workdays were shorter and some were longer. The mechanical clock has abandoned flexibility for a rigid and objective measurement of time. People were being paid by the hour, so if you didn't know how many hours exactly they would work on any given date, you couldn't pay them properly. This whole idea of getting paid by the hour instead of your workload really messed everything up. Because now, you show up to work for the sake of showing up, and you do your actual task for the week in 2 to 3 days, while you sit out the clock to get paid. And if you tell your supervisor that you did all of your work, they'll just give you more work with no real incentive to work harder. The hourly pay was introduced in the industrial age, since machines actually produce the products now, and they would always have a high yield, and it's very difficult to determine how hard someone worked that day if you were the supervisor for 300 people, usually more. But the hourly rate stuck, and now we're stuck with it. So, ever since the hourly rate became a standard business practice, one could directly translate time into money, and this spawned the idea of all of those escape the matrix through multi-level marketing bros who try to tell you that working for an hourly rate is trash, and you should instead work based on commissions, so you can make zero money instead of very little money. Or those fake business gurus, the TikTok financial genies, or crypto bros. A lot of people will try to convince you that what you're doing right now is not worth your time. I say screw them. Money isn't everything. Far from it. You have free will and you get to determine how to spend your time. So as long as you follow these guidelines, you can spend it however you want. I don't care. Make sure you're either enjoying what you're doing right now, learning, making money to support yourself or your family, spending time on becoming a better person, and spending time with your loved ones. If you're doing any of these things, then you're definitely not wasting your time. But you still need to live, right? So you have to work to survive, or else you'll be stuck spending your time on fighting rats on the streets for leftover pizza. But them rats have moves though, so you need to train before you can defeat the rats. So is this rat fighting lifestyle better than being stuck in the metaphorical rat race? Because you have to become the rat, if you want to be like the rat. The 40-hour work week is a reality for the majority of people, and they spend most of the time they have on this earth working 40 hours every single week. Some people get to work far less than that and make more money while doing it because they were born into a rich family or they got lucky. If you are on a 40-hour minimum wage job, it really puts things into perspective. Like a simple dinner could be worth 2 hours of your time, minus the time spent preparing it. Your phone costs you a couple hundred hours possibly. You pay with your hours on the job to be able to spend the rest of your hours on a streaming service. We are required to work to survive, but don't get the best compensation for our time. Just because you get paid by the hour, that doesn't mean that the last hour spent with your grandfather was worth 500 shekels. No, of course not. That time was absolutely priceless, even if you don't get paid for your time as much. Each individual moment of your life is arguably priceless and entirely subjective, so I don't think we should be putting so much financial emphasis on it. This is only exasperated by inflation, because if you were to equate time to money, it would also imply that our time is worth less now due to inflation. You have to work longer hours just to be able to afford the things you used to afford with less work. That is actually a direct consequence of capitalism, since money is put over everything. But if money is the most valuable thing there is, and it loses its value, then everything loses its value. You see, this is why I think capitalism is only a belief and not a fact. Many modern economists would lead you to believe that a human is actually a homo economicus, meaning that all of our decisions revolve around money and how we should spend it. The homo economicus is completely rational and will always choose the most valuable option. The thing is, an actual homo sapien is the farthest thing from rational. We act on emotions and all of our beliefs and life experiences are subjective. So don't let the idea of the homo economicus fool you into believing that money is the most important aspect of life. I believe you get to choose what the most important aspect of your life is, so don't think about how you could theoretically maximize your time into being the most productive creature you can be. Humans were made to survive and breed, so if you're doing anything beyond that, that is your choice. You don't need to be a zillionaire or have 5 pyramid schemes under you. You can watch the sun set, and you're not wasting a cent. I hate how your own personal time became a commodity. Can't have free time because you need to hustle. If you're not productive, you're wasting your time. Apps want your time, and video games and business owners. It's really predatory, to be honest. I can't even enjoy life anymore because everything wants to keep you hooked on it. What if I want to just sit down for a moment and appreciate nature? Nope, can't have that without your alarm going off, informing you that your 15-minute break is over and that you have to continue working for 6 more hours. As far as we know, our time is immeasurably valuable, and nobody really teaches us how to use it, and if there even is a correct way to use it. Because of all the things craving your time and attention, you might get into this catatonic state where all of your leisurely activities aren't fun anymore, because your brain is constantly overloaded with everything. And because everybody's trying to take your time now, whether it be Netflix, your boss, or video games, you might get stingy with it and choose to only do things that interest you. But this goes against our biochemistry once again, because we used to have a lot of downtime, you know, like being on the lookout for prey or potential danger, or chopping wood, going to the well, etc. If you only do things that are engaging, your brain, as always, will get used to that and start looking for things that are even more exceptional than your already exceptional life. And you might not even notice how much stimulation you need just to sit down and relax, or eat, or do anything really. If you want to see just how messed up your brain really is,
I would recommend you the wall staring exercise. As the name states, you just have to stare at a blank wall for an hour or so and let your thoughts come and go. Most people can't even do 15 minutes without either looking at a clock or their phone, because it feels as if they've been staring at the same wall for ages, or they just stop because it's like torture for them. It also feels so wrong, because you're wasting your precious time that you could be using to grind in Valorant, or finally put the clothes on your chair into the closet after 5 weeks. You could be doing so much right now, is what your mind is going to say, and just sit with that thought, and then let it go. If you do this exercise often, you will soon realize that you do have time to spare, and that staring at a wall or going on a losing streak in your video games is the same. To be honest, I'd much rather stare at a wall than go on a losing streak at 3 AM. We always have to put value assessments onto everything, even when it's nonsensical, because that's just how we're built. But most of the time, doing one thing over the other is not an objectively good use of your time. Think about this. Life is all about making experiences, right? But how are you supposed to make experiences happen if all you do is work or play games? I mean, sure, I might miss out on $1,000 because I didn't start a dropshipping business today, but I saw a bumblebee getting excited over finding nectar and running around frantically as a form of celebration. That memory is arguably priceless, and now I have a story to tell, how bumblebees can apparently get excited and jolly, while the $1,000 may not even be worth $100 in a couple of months. Guys, we're experiencing an economic crisis right now, the likes of which we've never seen in the past 50 years. So, stop thinking like a soulless businessman, and enjoy your time on Earth. If you're too stingy with your time, you're guaranteed to lose it all sooner or later. And sometimes the things that we view as a quote-unquote waste of time are more important than you could ever realize. Here's an easy example. You finally go to the art convention that your friend absolutely insisted that you have to see. You might not even like art, but you get to spend precious time with your friend, and while you're there, you find someone that you really like and eventually fall in love with, all because you took the time out of your day to go to a quote-unquote pointless social event. And a lot of opportunities actually hide in plain sight a lot of the time. So you can potentially still be productive while trying something new that you might enjoy, or not. Even if you didn't enjoy it, you still left your comfort zone, and this counts as an exercise for the mind. So even bad experiences aren't necessarily a waste of time. In summary, use your time wisely, and don't get stuck on one thing like a job, because there is a lot to life, and just satisfying your thirst for stimulation and feel-good chemicals is not the best way to live your life. Once again, I know many who have tried hedonism, including me, and no one was having a good time in the long run. And being too career-focused also makes your life suck. So you should spend your time not with your head, but with your heart. There is no such thing as a wrong use of time, because any use is valid. You have the freedom to spend your short time on this earth however you like. You don't have to care about other people that criticize and ridicule you for your usage of time. Watch the sunrise, watch the birds chirp, watch the 4-hour-long video essay about Donkey Kong being the greatest game ever made. It's your time, and you get to decide. Just try not to regret how you used your time, and you should be fine. So go stare at a wall now and write down how it made you feel and whether it was successful. But to help you find out how you want to use your time, we can use the principles of Ikigai. Ikigai is the search for one's purpose, passions, and aspirations, built on exercises that enable you to define your own goals according to your values and present challenges. Essentially, you have to find out what you love, what the world needs, what you are good at, and what you can get paid for. If you figure out what the answer for each of these 4 is, you can find something that combines them into a beautiful and fulfilling activity. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I personally always try to save time. I hated to go to useless events with my parents when I was little. I hated going to school because I thought it was a waste of my time, which it probably was actually. My whole life revolved around saving time. I was obsessed with it because I found out it was limited. I got really good at saving time, to a fault, because that's what became my life, always saving time instead of spending it. I ended up spending it on nothing, really, and I ended up quote-unquote wasting it all, despite all of my efforts. I was led to believe that time was similar to a currency, and that you can save it up somehow, and spend it later, but time is just a theory. A game theory, JK, farewell to my pato. I had to realize that the way I used my time was infinitely more important than micromanaging my life so I could watch reruns of SpongeBob SquarePants. The other huge downside of saving your time, and only spending it like a stingy businessman, wanting to improve his business, is that eventually you'll have some free time, and you'll have no idea what to do with it, because you've always worked. That's what you did, that's what you chose to spend your time on. And once you finally have some free time, you'll have no idea what to do with it. That's also why so many billionaires just keep working when they don't need to at all, because they have no idea what else to do. So even if you don't think that you're going to be a famous musician or guitarist, for example, you should still practice, because in the end, you're left with a tangible skill that improves your character, instead of ending up with nothing. I think the only true way to quote-unquote waste your time is to do something you don't enjoy or something that does not benefit you in any way at all. Use your time whenever you can. It's not some tangible currency like we are led to believe. It's just a side effect of experiencing the grandness of the universe all at once. And you never know what happens next. It's also unpredictable. For example, this is a remake of my video on the monetization of time. I made the previous video because I wanted to keep the growth that I was experiencing from my previous video going. And in my infinite wisdom, I decided to make the video in only 2 days, and when I uploaded it to YouTube, I realized I messed up the audio really bad. So when I deleted and re-uploaded the video, it pretty much doomed it from the start. It only got 1,000 impressions and 80 views, but I actually really liked this script, so I decided to expand on it. For all of the 80 people that saw the previous video, you're not crazy, this is indeed a remake with added content. But this whole story taught me about the unpredictability of my actions. I thought I wasted my time making a video, only for it to tank to oblivion, but actually, I never wasted anything. The few people that saw it did enjoy it, and I even managed to be helpful to one person. So it already wasn't a waste of time, and who knows, this might become my most popular video on the channel, or it'll only get a couple hundred views and sizzle out into oblivion. If I never know what might happen, then I should start to try more things. That cute girl at the grocery store, screw it, I'll talk to her. Even if she laughs and ridicules me, I can say that I got a story out of it. Or that friend who's always asking me to go on a trip with him. We're heading to Burkina Faso, where we might have the time of our lives in Ouagadougou, or we could end up in a sticky situation with the Ouagadougese mafia. I don't care if it could be dangerous. Living life is dangerous. I could perish from a pulmonary embolism right in my bed because I walk too rarely. Or the whole universe could collapse while experiencing heat death right this second. I'm never truly safe, nor is my time here on this earth. Saving your time is an illusion. You're forced to use it every single attosecond, and you better hope that you enjoyed your use of time. You only get one shot in this lifetime, and making the best of it is better than trying to become some sort of immortal Time Lord who can use their time however they want. So, when it comes to making a video for an audience less than 100 people, I don't even care anymore, because I had fun, and I did something I set my mind to, and I learned a lot of lessons about audio mixing, mic peaking, and making longer videos in the future. So on that note, enjoy your time, whatever that might mean, and relax. Okay, so I figured out the best way to spend all this time I've accumulated is to build a time machine so I can go back and force myself to talk to some women. Come on, man! You realistically only need to know the FNAF lore of the first 4 games. You're not gonna be a FNAF historian past me, as sad as that is. Time is still relative anyway, so it's all made up. Thank you all so much for watching my video to the very end, and if you like my videos, then you can like and subscribe. If you watch, like, and comment on all of my videos, I might just give you a 30-minute free Sonic X Tales roleplay fanfiction. No, but seriously, if you like my videos, I have a Discord server linked in the description below. Feel free to join, and bye bye.